Продовжуємо роботу в українському кризу.
We will continue our work at Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, and we invite the Speaker of the Ministry of Defense, Mr. Hutsulyak. Welcome, everyone. During the last 24 hours, the combatants of Russian occupation army have broken the ceasefire using mine and mortars, as well as shooting weapons. For example, Lugansk direction, they have used automatic rifles to shoot, targeting our protectors. It happened at 3 o'clock near Zaitsevo, but our armed forces have given adequate response to occupants using also automatic rifles. Also, enemy activity was directed at Donetsk direction, where there were 4 targeted shootings using mortars at midnight. About 10 projectiles were sent from 120-millimeter mortars in the area of Kamenka. Also, the mortars of the same caliber were sent around 6 p.m. Near Novotroitsk. About 920-millimeter projectiles were launched. Also, about 9 o'clock in the morning, for 40 minutes, there were rain launchers and mortars sent near Vodene at 7:30 p.m. The Russian occupation forces have sent about 46 projectiles of 82 millimeters near Budivka mine. And all the shootings were targeted, but Ukrainian armed forces have not given mortar fire in response to save human lives. 5 targeted shootings were done against our protectors. The militants have sent 65 mortars from 120 and 82 millimeters mortar launchers. 2 Ukrainian armed force servicemen were wounded, and 1 had a bell trauma. They were evacuated, and their health state is satisfactory. By information of Main Command of Intelligence of Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, the Armed Forces of Russian Federation continue to select officers for rotations in units and unifications of 1st and 2nd so-called corps of Russian occupation force. The command of Southern Military Circuit give preference for rotation to officers who are selected for cadet training at operative and strategic level, as well as those who want to get promotions. They go through medical attestation as well as military training wherever they serve. Information of Ukrainian side of Joint Center for Control for Ceasefire and Stabilization of Separation Line occupation. Government of certain districts of Donetsk region continue to ignore requests of the infrastructure and utility companies that try to fix utilities along the separation line. And despite all the efforts of Ukrainian side of stabilization and ceasefire commission for the whole year, there was no success to restore the gas pipeline Mariinka-Krasnogorivka without gas and heat. We have tens of utility infrastructure companies, as well as thousands of peaceful inhabitants of the area. This work can be done only after full guarantees of safety are given from the side of occupation government of Donetsk region. But let's say Krasnogorivsky fire station has requested this ceasefire and guarantees 25 of those, and they all were without response. Also, for the reason of constant monitoring there is possibility of ceasing water supply for majority of territory Donbass coming from South Donetsk water main. As Ukrainian side of the ceasefire committee on 26th of January, the Russian occupation forces have been mortaring the South Donetsk water main, and they have hit the cooling side of the station, injuring two transformers, and that reached a critical 50% decrease of water supply, which could cause, in turn, the whole water supply in all southeastern side of the Donetsk region would lose their water supply. That includes 49 villages and towns. 1.3 million people reside there at this time. So, Water of Donbass company has coordinated with the ceasefire center all necessary works, and received guarantees from the armed forces of Ukraine. But then, if the leaders of militants do not provide similar guarantees, there is no work possible. We have made these requests to a monitoring mission of OSCE twice on 26th of January and 30th of January, but there is no response from occupied territories government. In addition to this, by notification of Brand Center of Headquarters of Anti-Terrorist Operation Kramatorsk, there was interagency coordination meeting with representatives of ATO forces that work in communication and public relations section. So over these 2 days, representatives of National Police, Armed Forces, State Bodyguard Service, State Service for Emergencies, as well as civil journalists who are credited for this work in ATO, have discussed the organization of information supply. As First Deputy Chief of Anti-Terroristic Center at National Security Service of Ukraine, Deputy Chief General Lieutenant Mikhailo Zabrodsky said that this meeting was called to organize good interagency cooperation and to develop joint algorithms for information supply of all the measures happening in the area of ATO. At this time, the structures of armed forces of Ukraine that serve communications and public relations, they serve a very important role to provide good understanding of what's happening with armed forces, as well as the rest of operation at ATO zone. They have discussed the peculiarities of the work of journalists at the front line, and they have also shared their experience of working with press officers, with journalists who are credited in ATO, and they have discussed international experience of communications of military servicemen and journalists at the time of military action. At this time, this is all information. If there are no questions, then we will conclude here. Thank you.